Hey everybody, quick video today to tell you about some new things that we've got. And first of all, new floor spikes. Man, these new floor spikes have come out really well. We actually had these custom made for us. I wanted this particular shape, this particular size, and I've had some done in copper with little black cups that they can sit on. So these things can be used with electronics. They can be used in speakers. If you got a hardwood floor or something you don't want a spike going down into, use the cup. It's got a little damper on the bottom of it there and works great. The inserts are the good kind. They're the ones you just drill a hole into your bottom of your speaker or your bass, and these take a big Allen wrench and you just screw this straight into the cabinet and holds really well. So these things are great. You can see them on our site. Again, $36. You get a set of 4 of them. That's pretty cheap for what these are. These are milled aluminum pieces. They're not the cheesy, goofy looking little spikes, and they're not small. These are nice spikes, and this is copper anodized on these, so they look really, really nice. So that is something cool. It's available right now. You can get it on our site. Go under accessories. It's right there, and you can choose between copper or the aluminum. Now, interconnects. I know we've been talking about interconnects for a while, and we finally have some interconnects that we can offer you guys. And I didn't really get into the cable business because I felt like there's money to be made in the cable business. I really don't want to compete with some of these really high-end cable companies and things like that. But our customers are always looking for bang for the buck. Like, how can I get into some really good stuff without spending a lot of money? And so we offer speaker cables as a DIY cable kit and things like that. And we do power cables, not expensive compared to everything out there they're being compared to. We wanted to do the same thing with the Interconnect. So we spent a lot of time doing some research and development and testing and listening and comparing it to lots of other things and trying different things in different aspects. And man, it took a while, but we came up with an interconnect we really, really liked. And then it took a while to figure out who we wanted to do the assembly on these, because we felt like the way these things are made, it's really hard for the end user to assemble, and it's pretty tedious work. So we went through a period of trying a couple of different companies to finally find a company that we felt comfortable with doing the assembly work. And so that stuff's come out really well, and I'm going to show you a little bit about that. And I'm going to go way, way back and talk about some interconnect that I used to make way back in the day. I mean, I made these things probably 20 years ago or something. This is Vampire's continuous cast copper, little 18 gauge wire, and I used the Vampire ends. The thing we realized, though, is they had these big barrels that slide up over the ends, and it sounds better if that big barrel is not part of the ground plane. So we used to just use heat shrink on the ends, and this has a Teflon tube in the center, and they sounded really good. And once I kind of figured out that this recipe worked, I had a company at one time build a whole bunch of these for us. Actually, they were built for electric cable, which I then wound up acquiring, but I was part of development of the cable. And so we had some available at one time until we sold all of those that there were. Similar geometry, it just had a different end on it, and it had TechFlex over it, which we later found out the TechFlex actually had an effect on the sound. So we got away from doing that. The new stuff we've done, it's the same company that makes our speaker cable and our power cable cables. This is an 8-strand cable, so there's 4 conductors per leg, and we had this stuff custom made with the cotton rope through the center of it. So they made the cable with a cotton rope, and that made it a little bit easier than trying to feed the rope through the cable. The ends are really special. The ends kind of take on the same philosophy as our tube connectors. We're talking low mass, high contact area, good quality copper, all of that stuff. So the end is a solid chunk of Teflon, and the center pin is and the ground is made with beryllium copper. The end is hollow all the way to the tip, so the internal wire goes all the way through to the very tip on this thing. So you got very little material between the the connection point and the internal part of where it's connected inside your electronics. Unlike most electronics, or most interconnect, I should say, the ends are connected on one end, and then it's just a solid piece that the signal goes through. Whereas this is a thin copper wall that the wire is actually in. We're trying to minimize those gaps and those distances. The ground plane, very light. It's just a single pin. It's only on one side, so not a high mass ground plane. And when we put these on here, when all the wiring is connected, we then slide a copper sleeve on that's part of the shielding process, and it's not part of the ground plane, and that made an improvement. And we did a lot of experiments with how long of a piece of copper do we use. It's acting kind of like the Z-Sleeves product when you slide a copper sleeve over something. It has an effect of reducing noise and reducing electromagnetic interference and RFI and things like that. So then we experimented a lot with how long we wanted it to be, and until we finally figured out the right recipe. So I've had about 800 pairs of these things made, and they're about to arrive in port now. I had a couple dozen pairs air freighted in so that we would have some that we could start doing some advertisement with, get some photos made, and send them out to some of our top-level customers and things like that. So we got in a few of them, and right now they're all in the cryo tank. So that's another thing we're doing, is we're cryogenically treating all of these after they come in. And the result is fantastic, and the prices are great. When I say great, I mean great compared to the silly expensive stuff. They're not $600 a pair. They're not $1,200 a pair. They're not $2,400 a pair. But any of those out there in those price points, if you're that customer and you have really high-end interconnect, give ours a try. You might be surprised that the result may be a lot better than some of the really expensive interconnect. Now, if you're the kind of guy that thinks wire is wire and you don't want to spend more than $4 or $5 on interconnect, this interconnect isn't for you. It's for our customers who are looking for bang for the buck. And when I say bang for the buck, I'm talking about really high-end bang for the buck, not budget-level stuff. This isn't cheap because of the way it's made and the materials that are used, but compared to everything within its range of what it would compete against, this is cheap. So a half-meter pair is only $179. A 1-meter pair is only $209. A 1.5-meter long pair is $249, and a 2-meter long pair is $299. So reasonably priced. You know, it's right there at the kind of an in-between level. It's kind of in there with some of the mid-fi level cable, but it's really a high-end cable. Again, for those of you guys who think you don't want to spend more than $12 on a cable, then don't. No worries there. Also, before I get off, I want to give you guys a little warning out there. There's a lot of cables that may look like this, or there may be cheaper cables that you think you can buy. And I know there's a company over in China that has an AliExpress that has cables that they copy everyone's cables. And when I say copy, I mean they copy them. And for fun, we decided to order some of them just to see what the quality was really like. So we ordered this one from AliExpress, and it uses WBT-ends. And we thought, wow, WBT-ends, it can't be WBT-ends. I mean, it's clearly a knockoff. And so high mass barrel and everything. And this thing has like 8 cables in here. There's like of each color. That's like a 16-strand cable. And we're thinking, how in the world can they even get all of this many cables with wire this thick onto all those tips? There's no way you can get all that on there. We were in disbelief, so we had to, take the end off and check it out to see how these things were soldered on there and how they got all that wire in there. And we realized that, well, they didn't. And if you looked at this stuff, you could see that most of the wiring on this stuff wasn't even connected. They only took a few of the wires from the whole cable and connected it. And the wiring was not good. And it did not sound good at all. So buyer beware. Just because you can find something that looks like it on AliExpress doesn't mean it's good cable. Trust me, there's a lot of R&D went into how these need to be made, and all the little things matter. All the little things as far as the tip, the quality of the wire. This is all polyethylene jacketed. All that stuff matters, and then we cryo it. The proof is in the pudding, as we say. So in this case, try it and see if you like it. We're going to give a money-back guarantee on this stuff. If you order it, you decide you don't want to keep it, send it back and we'll give your money back. You do still have to pay the shipping charges on that stuff. If you're going to try something, you will have to pay the shipping. But if you decide you don't want it, no worries. And I'm going to make a special offer for all of our really high-end customers out there that have NX series speakers. If you've got an NX Studio, NX Audica, NX Stream, and you want to sample some of these cables, you just call me up and tell me how many you need and how long you need them, and I'll just send them out to you. And you can try those things out, see what you think of these things, and see how well you think they work with our speakers, and give us some feedback. If you want to keep them, I might make you a deal on them. So that's just a little bit to show our appreciation for our really good high-end customers that are out there. So that's it for this little video. I hope you enjoyed this little update. And stay tuned for more new products that we're working on this year. We've got some cool stuff coming, so hang in there for that. And we'll see you in the next video.